Good morning and welcome to the next episode of our podcast,
where we drink tea and navigate the balance between school and personal life.
I'm Sophia Safe.
And I'm Sophia Curry.
And this is Sip and Spill.
Welcome back to the Tea Journal.
The topic we'll be touching on today is the basics of small talk, and more specifically, the what, why, and how.
Okay, well, let's start off because although this isn't our first episode of season 2, this is our very first video recording.
Yep.
So we're doing a little bit of trial and error here. So this recording is on my computer, and we're doing some audio recordings on my phone because yours truly forgot to bring the mics.
This girl.
But it's okay. So we're going to do some matching up. So hopefully we match it up pretty well, and it lines up with our voices. I think we're good at it.
Yeah,
we'll get it.
We'll get it. Mm-hmm.
But, so I feel like we've said this before, but just a little tour. This is our new setup.
Welcome.
We do, I don't want to say we do read off a computer, but we do have a computer here for notes if, Sophia's going to demonstrate. Oh, you can't see our script. It's too bright.
Good thing.
But it kind of just has a list of bullet points, but again, of course, as always, this is completely, or for the most part, conversational, our own, not just entirely scripted.
Yep.
Okay.
So let's start with the actual definition of small talk. And this usually we do read off of because we want to have a genuine definition. So small talk is light, casual conversation used to initiate connections and build rapport with people you don't know well. Rather than delving into deep topics, it is an essential social skill that helps people feel comfortable and can lead to more meaningful conversations later.
I feel like small talk is something that a lot of people dance around. Do you know what I mean?
Agreed.
I know people who hate it, and I know people who are I don't think anybody loves it. Nobody really loves small talk, but I feel like there are people who are okay with it.
Agreed.
I definitely think, you guys will also see I shift a lot.
Sorry. I mean, we both do.
I'm going to face her more. Because conversational.
Conversation.
Anyway, I feel like, what about you personally?
I feel like I have an easier time doing small talk with adults than I do with other teenagers or my peers. I feel like I'm afraid of judgment when it comes to talking with my peers, but when I'm talking to an adult, I feel like, I don't really have to worry about that as much.
What are you typically talking about with an adult? Because I feel like that comes from, usually when you interact with an adult, it's, it's more intentional than with, a teen.
Yeah, no, I agree. I feel like adults also know the right questions to ask. And, when you're with your peers and you're doing the same things and you have the same classes, you don't want to come across as bragging. Right?
Yes.
So, I'm in CP Calc and Sophia's in AP Calc AB. And so if she were to come up to me, if I were to, ask her, oh, what are you guys doing in math? She wouldn't be like, oh, I'm in AP Calc BC. And we're doing this. And what are you doing in CP Calc? No.
There's no reason to do that.
No. But whereas with an adult, if they ask what you're doing in math and you're in AP Calc BC, you can be like, oh, because I'm in AP Calc BC, we're doing all of this.
Yeah.
And you don't have to feel the judgment that comes with, bragging.
I feel like you don't even have to start off with that, though. You could just be like, oh, we're doing that. And if they're like, wow, you're moving really fast, or, oh, you're already there, you could be like, oh, well, I am in AP, Calculus AB, so we tend to move quicker. I've even had kids now tell me, because we are actually moving so fast in my calc class, that, the unit that we just took a test on, they're like, dude, we didn't get to that till December. And I was like, oh, okay. So I definitely get that. I also feel like as an adult, they might, because of just their experience and how they go through life, they have more of a tolerance for it than teenagers. I feel like teenagers just don't have the tolerance for small talk.
I feel like we're more comfortable when we're with people that we're comfortable with. I feel like that's an obvious statement, but I feel like even small talking with you is more comfortable than small talking with someone I don't know.
But I also feel like with you, we don't small talk because we're just so close that there isn't small talk that necessarily like results because we're just so comfortable that we talk about things. I feel like small talk is between people that you're not close with or that you're kind of acquainted with, and you're just kind of trying to fill the gap. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like a gap filler.
So then what is small talk?
Okay, that's a perfect segue. Okay, so small talk is a social tool. So small talk is a polite and an informal way to break the ice in social situations, such as parties, networking events, or with coworkers. It is also used to fill silence and make passing interactions pleasant, like with a cashier or an elevator acquaintance.
And small talk is not about the subject. The content of small talk is not as important as the act of talking itself, which acknowledges the other person and establishes a sense of shared reality. Topics can often include weather, hobbies, the work, or recent news.
I feel like the weather's the one everyone goes to. Like everybody knows that like that those movie scenes or even just in real life when it's getting really awkward, they're like, "So the weather's really great today."
Yeah, or the weather is so bad.
Yeah, it's just like I feel like the weather is like one of those small talk that it's like, it's small talk and it's like that obvious filler, which it makes me wonder like what made us go to the weather as like that kind of go-to thing.
I feel like it's just like it again, like we said, it's a common reality. It's
very
a common
universal.
Shared experience.
Yeah.
And like everyone knows what the weather is.
True.
In some capacity.
Yeah. And then so I don't know. What are your common like small talk subjects?
I mean, with my peers?
Yeah, with like peers usually.
Classes.
Yeah.
Like
school.
Oh, how's school going lately? What clubs are you in? How are you doing anything after school?
I feel like that's my go-to. Especially I think if it's like someone that I don't usually talk to or I haven't worked with before and you kind of have to be in the same space. I know some people like are okay with that silence, but especially if I don't know you very well, like there are people I can sit very comfortably in silence with, like Sophia. I can sit with her in silence.
In addition to that, like we can be doing completely separate things and be completely comfortable.
Yeah. But I feel like often when I'm with my peers that I don't typically do that with or I'm not comfortable with, I do want to fill the silence because silence just can be so awkward. So usually it's like, oh, what classes are you taking? Or, oh, you're in this, right? Like, how's that going? Like, how are you doing in that class? That's like my definite go-to for small talk.
I feel like another really easy thing to do with small talk is talk about, like, what things are you doing wrong? Like, not in, like, a big capacity, but, like...
In terms of, like, when conducting small talk? Like,
yeah, like, I feel like it's a little bit of an icebreaker where, like, again, I'm going to go back to the math topic.
Yeah.
I'm going to be like... oh, how are you doing in math? And you're like, oh, it's good. And instead of, like, just going back and forth on a surface level, if you really want to, like, if I would really want to connect deeper with a person, I feel like I'd be like, oh, I'm struggling, man.
That's like, often how, like, I start getting closer with people. Like, I remember, like, my mom always would ask me, like, oh, how did you make your friends? Like, how did you and so meet? Because I feel like the misconception is, like, you go up to a person and it's like, oh, hi, my name is, but I honestly don't remember the last time I made a friend by going up to them and saying, hi, my name is.
Yeah, no. Like, what's your name?
Like, usually it's as a result of I'm already talking to that person, and I'm kind of like, oh, by the way, like, my name's Sophia. Like, it's really nice to meet you. What's your name?
Again, like we said, it's usually because of a shared experience.
Yeah.
And so... like we were talking about earlier, it's the foundation of relationships, and while it may seem insignificant, small talk is the first step towards building friendships and professional relationships.
It's a necessary evil.
It allows you to feel out the other person's personality from a safe distance before moving on to deeper topics. Yeah. And I feel like I wholeheartedly agree with that.
Me too. Like, that's how I form my friendships. Like, I'm thinking about, like, one specific friend that I made my freshman year in bio. It was purely because I talk out loud to myself. Like, it's not, like, loud, but I will...
Sorry.
Okay. I will whisper to myself and, like, I just process things out loud. Like, I think I've already gone over that before. But... oh, my gosh. I definitely process things out loud, but that's kind of how, like, someone will make, like, a side comment. Like, if I'm sitting next to someone, they're like, oh, my God, me too. And then we start talking, and it starts off as kind of small talk and like, oh, well, how are you doing in this? And then all of a sudden, because we're already in that kind of like mood and that like mindset, we're like, oh my God, this class is killing me. And then you start getting closer, and then obviously you start talking more because you sit next to each other, you're near each other consistently. And that's kind of how I formed like a lot of my friendships.
So how do we make small talk in like simple steps?
Okay. So we can start the conversation. So offer a contextual opener. Comment on something you and the other person are experiencing in your immediate environment. So
just like
often
you said.
often not commenting on like classwork, certain stuff like that. You can give a genuine compliment. Complimenting someone on their earrings, their shoes, or the present. Okay, girl.
Sorry.
Or the presentation they just gave is an easy way to start a conversation on a positive note.
And then it can be in the middle of the conversation, it can be in the beginning of the conversation, but you could probably introduce yourself. Be direct and friendly. Hi, I'm Safia. What's your name?
Yeah. I usually when I'm in the middle of talking, like I'll kind of just like jump in and be like, oh my God, wait, it's so nice to meet you. Like, my name's Sophia. Like, by the way, what's your name? And they'll be like, oh, well, my name is da-da-da, whatever. And I'm like, oh, it's like really nice to meet you. And then we kind of just go on our way. Yeah. I feel like that's an easier way of getting those introductions done rather than starting with it, because I feel like starting with, oh, hi, my name is so-and-so is so awkward because it's so where do you go from there?
And also usually if you're like in a class and you're talking with someone, usually you'll know their name already. Yeah. Even if you haven't met them. And a lot of the times in your conversation with someone, you won't even use their name.
Yeah. Which is why I think it's so hard. Like, I've definitely talked to people in the past, and then I'll be like, wait, I never got that person's name. Like, I was like, oh, whoops.
That's like, definitely happened before.
And sometimes it, like, bums me out. Sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes there's people that I was like, I really need this conversation to end. But I think, like we said, like, small talk is a necessary evil to establish those things. And I think that's something that a lot of people hesitate to do because it's just, it can be so uncomfortable.
No, for sure. So how do we keep the conversation going?
Okay. You can ask open-ended questions, avoid questions that can be answered with a simple yes or no. This encourages a more thoughtful response and shows genuine interest.
So, for example, instead of asking, like, did you have a good weekend? Yes. Yes.
Oh, yes.
You can try, like, what was the highlight of your weekend? What did you do this weekend?
Yeah. And you can obviously curate it, because I know sometimes you're like, well, that sounds stupid. Like, like, I usually say, like, oh, like, you said... Sometimes we go over in class, like, I'm thinking specifically in Spanish, where she'll be like, oh, what'd you guys do over the weekend in Spanish? And I'm like, guys, I want to talk in Spanish. So I was like, oh, so you said you did this, or like, oh, I heard you do this. Like, that's really cool. Can you tell me about it? But, like, of course, you want to be genuine with your questions. Don't just ask a question just to ask the question. Like, because then you're just kind of sitting there, like, listening to them talk, and then you're just like, I don't really care. And that's kind of... weird, if you know what I mean. So I feel like you should, like, I think it goes both ways. Like, if the other person isn't putting effort, I think it's at that point, obviously, I think you should just not give up, but, like, kind of pull away and just be like, okay, clearly it's not gonna go somewhere, so, like, I don't waste your energy on that. I feel like,
okay. So then if you still, like, run out of topics, you can use what I found, which is the FORWARD acronym.
Yes. And we will, again, link all of our sources in the description. Feel free to fact check us and do all of that.
So the FORWARD acronym includes family, occupation, recreation, and dreams.
Oh, dreams.
And it's not like deep dreams.
Oh, okay.
But, for example, when it comes to family, you can ask, like, are you from this area? Or, like, do you have family in the area?
I usually do that with my coworkers that are, like, Spanish.
Okay.
Because whenever, like, they say hi to me or whatever, like, I'm, like, the one busser at my restaurant, like, I started talking to her more, and I practiced my Spanish with her. But when I first started talking to her, I was like, oh, well, like, hola, like, oh, ¿dónde está tu familia? Like, where are you from? Like, where's your family? And she's like, oh, Venezuela. And I was like, oh, that's so cool. And then it kind of leads into more, and you can kind of talk about that. I think the family one's a good one, depending on who it is.
For sure.
I feel like that's a good coworker one, especially if they're, like, immigrants or from, like, a foreign nation or of a different ethnicity. I think that's, like, a good one to go into, because that's a good conversation starter. Okay, the next one we have is occupation. So you can ask, what do you enjoy most about your work?
Or, I mean, since we're all students, you could also ask if they have a job.
Mm-hmm.
And, like, what do you do? What, like, again, like you said, what do you enjoy most?
Yeah, and if you don't have a job, you can be like, oh, does it help you? Like, do you think I should get one? And you can kind of get into that and, like, talk about it, which I think is, like, I think that's, like, a good thing to talk about. I think having a job is, like, a really good starter. I'm not going to lie. Like, I think that's a really good topic. Because I feel like a lot of teens don't have a job, but also a lot of teens do have a job. And they can kind of talk. That's something they can kind of expand upon.
And give advice on, too.
Yeah. And it's not just like, oh, I'm doing bad in a class, yes or no. Unless they're, like, someone who clearly don't want to talk.
And then the next one is recreation. So like we said before, like, do you have any plans for the weekend? How was your weekend?
Or it could just be like, what sports do you play? How are you doing? Or like, oh, do you know when, like, I always ask, like, if I feel awkward, like, and it's a more sporty person, I'm like, oh, do you know when the next football game is, or how do you think we're going to
do? That's
like, I've done that at work before, where I was, like, hosting with a one girl, and I was like, it's not awkward, but I don't like sitting here in silence, and I was like, hey, like, how do you think we're going to do for, like, football? Like, because she's friends with those kids, and, like, I know those kids, and it's obviously football's big in our school, so I was like, oh, how do you think our football team's doing?
Right.
And then, like, we immediately got into a conversation for the next, like, 20 minutes.
Wow, okay.
So it's, like, it's a good conversation starter, because depending on the involvement of the person, like, it can get built upon, and then all of a sudden you're in a substantial conversation that's not small talk anymore.
And then the next one is dreams. So this can be, like, surface level, like, what are you looking forward to? And not just, like, I mean, it's really up for interpretation, that question specifically. It can be, what are you looking forward to in the future? Like, in the far future. What are you looking forward to this month?
I'm not gonna lie, when you read dreams at first, I was, and maybe this is the fact that, like, we have a dream, like, sleep project in psych right now, but I thought of, like, your actual sleeping dreams, because I was like,
that's a little deep.
I was like, oh, dreams? But that's actually kind of one of my icebreakers, but not, like, what are your dreams? I have, like, a list of questions, not, like, that I, like, have memorized, like, but I can kind of usually pull off the top of my head. And the one that I'm, like, thinking of right now is I always love asking people, like, do you dream? Like, or do you think you dream? Like, which is in reality, like, do you remember your dreams? Because I am the type of person to, like, vividly remember my dreams. Like, I remember a lot of my dreams, and I, like, know that I've dreamed multiple times a night. And a lot of my friends even are like, no, I don't dream. And I'm like, no, you do dream, you just don't remember them. So you're saying you don't remember them? And they're like, yeah.
I feel like I remember them the second I wake up, but
yeah, that's usually how
I have well, okay, this is something I recently found out, that most people don't have a constant stream of consciousness.
Stop! Wait, weren't we talking about this? I think the internal monologue.
Yeah, I have a constant
one
stream of consciousness. So I feel like the second I wake up, I'm thinking. So the vivid dream just leaves. And I know I had one, I try to remember it, but I cannot.
Usually when I wake up, my internal monologue is about the dream. And I start thinking about the dream and recounting it and, like, thinking about it and being like, why was I dreaming about this? And I was like, what is this? And replaying the dream in my mind. But that is another one of my actual, like, questions I pull off the top of my head. And, of course, they're always, like, psych-related. Because I find, like, the behavior of people so fascinating. But actually, it was Natalie who was on this, my best friend who was on our episode 7. We always refer to our best friends.
Yeah. I mean, they're very important to our lives.
Yeah. They're going to be mentioned a lot. But I remember walking into, like, the band room one day, and Natalie asked me, she's like, do you have, like, an internal monologue? And I was like, or maybe it wasn't in the band room. Regardless, I remember us talking about whether or not we had an internal monologue. And we were talking with her boyfriend, and I think he said no. Like, I think he just said, like, no. And I'm like, so your mind is just clear? And he's like, yeah. And I was like, you're not constantly talking to yourself in your head? And I don't understand that, because I'm like, how do you just, like, not think anything? Like, that doesn't make any sense to me. And for, like, the rest of the day, I was going around asking everyone, like, do you have an internal monologue?
Literally same. I went around, and I asked my friends this, not, like, people.
Yeah, I asked, like, friends.
Yeah, but I would ask, like, do you have, like, a constant stream of consciousness? Like, are you constantly thinking, or does your mind, like, go blank?
I can't even imagine that. I can't
imagine, like, silence.
I guess my mind has gone blank before, but even then, it's just more, like, quiet talking to myself.
Or it's, like, what do I say? What do I say? What do I say?
Or it's just whatever I'm reading. Like, when I'm reading something, like, I, like, know I'm reading, and I'm very aware of the fact that I'm reading words, and it's like I can see the words going down in my mind.
But I also feel like I'm thinking about the words that I'm reading as I'm reading them.
Yeah, no, that's what I mean. Like, I'm actively thinking about it, and I actively know, like, and I'm aware of the words. So, like, these are things that I always say, like, to people, because I'm like, these are, like, my favorite conversation starters. Conversation. Because they're kind of, like, I love asking questions that make people go, oh, wait. Like, they're not weird questions. They're just kind of, like, random, let me, like, think. And then it's, like, most people are, like, they, like, want to engage in that because it causes them, it's not just, like, an easy yes or no. It's, like, wait a minute.
They have to actually think about it.
They're like, wait a minute. No, I don't. And then I'm like, really? And I'm like, that's so interesting because I do. And then, like, usually, for the most part, people are like, really? Yeah. And then we get into, or they're like, oh my God, me too.
Yeah, and you're like, did you know some people don't constantly think? It's like, you go into, like.
So, like, yeah. I always, like, so if you guys have, like, any, like, random questions, like, sometimes, like, if the situation's appropriate, like, obviously, if I'm just meeting someone for the first time in class, I'm not going to be like, do you have an internal stream of consciousness? Like, all the time?
That is a little
like,
odd.
That's weird. They'd be like, that's so random.
But if you have, like, random questions that you don't think are weird, you can comment them down below.
Comment them. Please, give us your ideas. I would love that. You drop a comment. Okay, anyway.
It's the first time. It's a little ridiculous, but...
It's okay. All right.
The next thing is to be a master listener.
I hate how that's phrased.
So do I.
That sounds kind of narcissistic.
But the best small talkers are active listeners who ask thoughtful follow-up questions. Pay attention to what the other person says and ask for details. So my aunt is always saying, don't listen to...
We said
what
before.
Is it? Oh,
okay,
I lost it.
My mom says this too. Listen to understand, not listen to respond.
That's what it is.
It's up in there, guys.
Don't listen to understand, listen to respond.
Nope.
Don't listen to respond.
Listen to understand, don't listen to respond.
That is our mantra for this episode.
Oh, yes, I like that.
Okay.
Yeah. I think that's, like, a big one. And I think that goes for things outside of small talk, too. Just in general, I think, especially with how fast-paced our society is and just how many ideas and opinions are out there, we're so used to constantly pushing it out there. Because when you're on social media, there's no one stopping you because it's online. Like, there's no one interrupting you. So you can kind of just spit out all your opinions, all your ideas, and it's kind of hard to, like, keep that barrier there and kind of try to hear it from the other person's point. A, because they're not actively in front of you, but B, because there's also nothing stopping you and preventing you from kind of trying to consider that other person's viewpoint.
Absolutely.
Because you could just, like, get off and then, like, ignore it for the rest of the day. So, yeah, I definitely think that's important. And then how to handle awkward moments.
So, stay positive. Keeping the conversation light and friendly and avoiding controversial topics like politics, religion, or personal subjects like health and money.
Yeah, those are never really appropriate unless they're kind of in the context of what you're doing in the environment. Then I definitely have gotten into political things because I'll hear other people talking. I might make a comment that we're in something and then all of a sudden we're in a discussion. But I think I want to say be very aware of where you are currently and where the people you're talking to stand, or where you can tell they, like, for sure stand.
Absolutely. And also, we are going to do an episode on how can teens navigate, like, our political situation or politics in general.
And that episode won't be us necessarily pushing our political viewpoints and ideals, but more or less, how do we navigate it when somebody else has a differing viewpoint than us, and how do we go about finding our own opinions and doing these things
how to go about doing your own research.
Yes.
When can you talk about your political, like, viewpoints?
But to get back onto our subject, the next thing you can do when it gets awkward is know when to listen and when to share. So this goes back to, like, listening to understand rather than listening to respond. So you can find a balance between asking questions and sharing information about yourself. If they ask you what you do, offer a detailed answer that provides hooks for them to respond to.
Do you want to give an example?
Oh gosh, let me think of one.
Okay. How are you doing at work?
Oh, it's okay. It's a lot,
See, I would say that's an example of
that's an awkward
answer.
Pause.
That's an awkward pause, but also an answer that doesn't have a lot of hooks in it.
Yes.
So there's not a lot for me to easily respond to. So let me try this again. How's work going for you?
It's fun. It's a lot though. Like we have a lot to do, but I like it for the most part. Like I have a fun job. There's good people there.
Oh, who do you work with?
I work with a lot of kids like my age. A lot of them go to my school, so I know a lot of them already.
Oh wow. Do you work with any adults?
Yeah. That's fun. I always get like interesting like viewpoints from them.
Ooh, okay. What do you mean?
And then etc.
Mm-hmm. So it's a lot easier to talk when you are also giving detailed responses.
Mm-hmm.
But then again, if someone else is telling their story, you should also look for those hooks to try and ask more questions.
I feel like another thing that I think we said it here too, like sharing information about yourself. I think this is something that I struggle to see where there's a line. Sometimes I'll take that because, you never want to make it all about yourself. But also, I feel like adding a personal connection also helps to further the conversation because you can be like, oh my gosh, that's really cool. I also work a job where like most of the people are my age. So I have a connection. So like I understand where you're coming from.
Absolutely.
Or, like I get it.
Then there's also a line when you're making a personal connection to every single thing.
Yeah, okay. That's like, you can do that, but if you start if you start seeing that the conversation's starting to center more about yourself and like you don't actively ask the person like, oh hey, like I noticed like I do this to Sophia all the time, like I did it even today in the car. I was like, oh my god, we were talking about something, and then I started going off on a tangent about like one of my friends, and I was like, dude, I just made this, like I just realized we're like only talking about me right now, like I'm sorry. And she was like, no, it's fine, like finish your thought.
Yeah.
But like after noticing that, I was like, let me bring it back to our original topic so that she can
and
talk
then
a little more.
And then we were going back and forth, like it was completely fine.
Yeah.
It was also a lot easier for us considering that we've been friends for a long time. That's true. But even if you're in a conversation with someone you don't know, trying to bring back the conversation to them really shows that you do care.
And I feel like it's easier because you might not be as involved in the topic as like we are, probably considering that we've been friends for like years.
Yeah.
The next thing is don't fear silence. So not every moment needs to be filled with chatter. Don't panic during a brief pause. It's a natural rhythm of conversation. Just take a breath and think of your next question. I definitely struggle with that.
So do I. I don't like pauses.
I don't either, and I think the pauses push me
to talk more,
but to interrupt, because some people naturally pause and that's okay, but I immediately jump to add my thought, which goes back into listening to understand. So I think a general rule of thumb is like wait for a breath, and if they don't continue, then you can go. And I've heard that before. They're like wait for like 1 or 2 breaths or 1.5 breaths, and then it's your turn to speak, because some people are talking and then they'll have a pause like that, and then they pick up. Sorry, I was like, that was a really good time. That was a really timed, perfectly timed example.
And then the last step is to gracefully exit the conversation. When it's time to go, for you or for you think the other person, you can find a lull in the conversation and politely excuse yourself. So this can be during one of those like pauses where neither of you have anything to say. You can reference something that was discussed and mention that you had to go. For example, it was great talking to you about your trip. I've got to run, but I hope we can chat again.
Yeah. And I think that one is definitely, I don't know how to put this. I think that's a good one to utilize, especially if some people definitely get a little more chatty. Like I've gotten that. I myself have done it before, but there have been times where even with people sometimes that you're like pretty well, but you're not like friends with them, you're more like acquainted. Like I'm thinking of one specific person right now that this like recently happened to me with, that I was talking to, and sometimes even if there's not really a lull, you can kind of just wait for them to like finish their thought, and they're just kind of talking, and then I was like, yeah, no, I definitely agree, but like I was like, I'm looking at the time, and I'm like, I think I should get going now though, because I have to get gas or whatever. I have to go pick up my mom or whatever. And I was like, but it was good talking to you, like I'll see you tomorrow.
Right.
Except I legitimately said this like 6 times. So it wasn't really working.
Another thing is, if you're like, for example, on like a work call, or if you're like on call with someone that you barely know to do a project for, and you're done with your project, or you're done with your work for that day, and like they're just talking, you can also say like, oh, my mom's like calling me, I've got to go, I really enjoyed talking to you, this was so much fun, I can't wait to continue this project, or I can't wait to like talk to you again.
I'm not gonna lie, this is where I say, I don't want to say lying, but like bending the truth, or I guess like straight up lying sometimes is okay, because you're not inherently harming the person. Like if you're just like, I can't talk anymore, I don't really have the energy for this, just kind of be like, oh, I do have to go now. And if you're so uncomfortable like lying, like I definitely get that, I am too, I just be like, oh, I do have to go, like I do kind of have things to do right now. And even if you don't, there's like, your thing to do is to decompress and get off the call.
Absolutely.
So I just be like, oh, I do kind of have to go, like, you know, there's something like that needs my attention or whatever. So like, it was really great talking to you, like Sophia said, and it's like, I'll talk to you later.
Yeah.
Usually they're like, oh yeah, for sure, okay, like thank you.
Yeah.
As long as they're not like, oh, let me add to the thought. Like it's just like, okay, yeah, like quickly, but like I do really have to go. Like you have to be assertive. I think that's another thing when you're ending a conversation, you got to be assertive. Especially if you're the one ending it. But if you're not the one ending it, be aware that and be respectful of that person's time when they say like, hey, I need to go. Just be like, okay, yeah. We'll catch up, we'll finish our thought later. Like, it was great talking to you.
Absolutely.
So honestly, I think the main takeaway would be, don't be afraid of it. Don't be afraid of small talk. It's a necessary evil. Like Sophia said, our mantra, listen to understand, don't listen to respond. That can really help carry the conversation. And then put a little bit of effort into it.
Yeah. Look for hooks. Give them hooks. Look for something to latch onto. Look for something to connect with.
And don't always be afraid to give a personal connection. It's good to do that. Just make sure you're not overdoing it.
Right. So that pretty much wraps up our tea journal for this week.
Welcome back to Not My Cup of Tea.
To recap, this segment is basically a glorified would you rather regarding a topic and 2 options.
For today, we'll be sticking with our small talk theme and talking about the psychological meaning behind different responses to small talk scenarios. Also, if you want to respond to any of these yourself, please feel free to leave a comment.
So our first scenario is the awkward lull. So the question is, would you rather be the person to fill an awkward silence with a cringy comment, or let the silence linger until someone speaks up?
Ooh. So, that's a good one. I'm not gonna lie.
So I have a couple options here.
Yeah, go for it.
I fill the silence with a cringy comment. I let the silence linger, or it depends who I'm with.
Let's see how loud this is. Sorry, guys.
I'd say it depends who I'm with, for sure.
I say it depends on who I'm with. Like, I feel like if you're talking, you already get a vibe for, like, what that type of, like, how that type of person would respond. That might just be me, but I feel like in general, people get a vibe for
for sure.
For how someone will react. But, so I think, like, if the person was, like, I don't know how to describe the person.
Okay, so, like, if the person decides that, like, oh, I want to be the person to fill the silence with a cringy comment, I cannot handle silence, that person is most likely an extrovert or has a high need for social harmony. They're probably uncomfortable with tension and would rather risk personal embarrassment than let others feel awkward.
I think it, again, depends on the person. I was trying to describe the person that would allow me to make the cringy comment.
Oh.
But I can't really think of one. I think it's just, like, in general, if it's somebody that's, like, generally more relaxed, and it depends on the situation I'm in. Like, if it's in class, I probably would say something stupid because we would both start, like, ranting about class based off the cringy comment, because I've done it before.
So then, like, what might the person be if they let the silence linger?
This person might be more introverted or comfortable with pauses in conversation. They may prioritize authenticity, believing that a genuine natural flow is better than forced chatter.
And then the option that like us two most agree with is the fact that we it depend on the person rather than like genuinely all the time. And I feel like these people are like socially this is like a socially flexible answer.
Yeah.
And the speaker like us, we recognize that the best approach depends on the context and the other person's personality. Literally, like you said, it highlights the importance of social awareness and adapting your communication style to fit the situation.
I feel like the only time if I would make a cringy comment and it wasn't like someone who I thought would be able to take it well would be if the silence was lingering like extensively, and it was like, okay, clearly like we know this is an awkward pause, like we need to kind of say something here. That's where I think I would be like, actually I know I've done it before, like, oh, so like, and make like some random comment that like is kind of like, it may not be weird or cringy, it might just be kind of like, okay, like I guess like, but hopefully it's not just like a plain yes or no question. That's where I might throw in, like I was saying in the tea journal, like, do you have an internal monologue?
Yeah.
Like a really random question. Like instead of like a cringy comment, I might just like throw in a random comment.
Okay, I can do that.
I think that's what I'm more prone to doing.
Yeah. So then our next scenario is the conversational handoff. So would you rather...
Oh boy.
This is a little stupid. Would you rather ask a bunch of questions and be seen as curious or talk mostly about yourself and be seen as passionate?
A bunch of questions and be seen as curious.
Yeah. I think I wholeheartedly agree with that.
I would not.
I feel like that kind of person's conversational style is focused outward and making the other person feel like heard and engaged, and they may be like natural listeners, or they prioritize gathering information over sharing their own.
I only start talking about myself once we're in a conversation unrelated to me, because then I can connect back to it. It makes me feel like I'm making it less about myself and more like I'm making a personal connection. I personally just need to be careful of rambling, because I tend to go on a lot, A, out of a nervous habit, but B, just because I think I have anxiety about sharing details and, like, I need to get every detail out. Otherwise, like, I either will forget something or, like, my point is, like, important, or I see my point as important and I feel like it needs to be shared, and if it's not, like, I get, like, a physical feeling that makes me, like, really uncomfortable because I didn't say it.
Agreed.
Which is something I kind of have to learn to deal with. So I think I would rather, but originally I think I'd rather be, like, asking questions, because I just would rather, like, I like gathering knowledge and data, because it allows me to think of things to talk about with the person.
Right.
Because if I'm just talking about myself, like, I don't know how else to carry it. Like, when I'm done talking about myself, then what is there to talk about?
So someone who does talk about themselves and who is passionate might suggest they're confident in sharing their own experiences and is comfortable being the center of attention. They believe that building rapport they believe in building rapport through enthusiastic self-disclosure. And so they can become more comfortable with the person if that person knows more about themselves.
I'm going to play devil's advocate.
Go ahead.
I'm not saying that, like, originally, I'm not saying that, like, talking about yourself first is, like, a bad thing. It just depends on how you do it. So I feel like if you started with that, I feel like that would be easier to do because you know more. It gives you more knowledge. So I think if you were uncomfortable asking questions, it would be better to start talking about yourself.
Or if you don't know what questions to ask.
Yes, that's what I mean. If you don't know what to ask and you don't know what to talk about, I feel like it's better to start talking about yourself first and personal experiences, because it allows you to kind of, like, fill that silence and then kind of, in its own way, help you find personal connections, because it might, like, encourage the other person to make their own personal connection, and then you can start asking questions.
So, like you said, try to do a bit of both. Yeah. So that's the balanced person. They understand that a good back and forth requires both asking questions and including personal insights.
Yeah, and again, like, that balance is really important, because part of the reason why originally I said, like, no, is you don't want to come across as, like, self-centered, and it's all about you. Because I personally really don't like those people.
It's hard to have a conversation with them because you also feel a lot less engaged when you aren't sharing a thing.
And you just tend to lose interest. And it's just kind of like, I catch myself zoning out.
I feel like
it's really mean though. But I'm like, I start zoning out.
But when you're not offering any information, like, what else can you do?
I start
you're
going
essentially
like,
hearing about the same things over and over again.
I know. I essentially, I just sit there and I'm like, wait, I'm sorry. Like, I miss, like, sometimes I'll be really nice about it, but, like, I feel like if you know me well enough to know, like, you kind of know when I start getting either not annoyed, well, probably annoyed depending on what it is, but also kind of, like, spacing out because I'll just be like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. Like, I totally missed that.
Yeah.
Or if I just don't care about what they're
when we're talking to each other, we also, like, both of us go, like, oh, I'm so sorry, I zoned out. Can you, like, repeat that last thing real quick? Because we're genuinely interested. Like, we want to know. It's just that, like, you can't help it. It's not your fault you zoned out.
Yeah.
But it's also a good way to remind the person that, like, oh, I'm here too. Like, I also want to talk. Like, if Sophia, sorry, I'm so sorry. But if Sophia's, like talking about herself over and over again, and I'm like, oh, sorry, I zoned out for that last bit there. Would you mind repeating that? She'll get, like, a mental note that's like, oh, shoot, she literally zoned out while I was talking, and now it's probably a good time to, like, let her talk too.
It's not always, like, a conscious thing.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I need water, I'm sorry.
No, you're good. Yep, okay.
I don't feel like you're right. Like, I get that mental note, but I think it's not, like, you literally inherently in your mind are, like, thinking, oh, shoot, like, she's zoned out. Like, I need to talk less about it. I think it's more like that instinctual thing that it's, like, it's implied, and you get that implication in your mind, and so it kind of just, like, psychologically reforms you to start, like, backing off and being like, oh, okay, yeah. Like, let me ask a question instead of, like, continuing to ramble, because you're just like, okay, well, they're clearly, like, spacing out. So I think, like, do we have another one? We do have another one.
We have 2 more.
Oh, okay. Let's read the next one.
So the next one is, you're in a conversation that's going nowhere.
Oof.
Would you rather gracefully excuse yourself with a white lie or abruptly end the conversation and risk seeming rude? So we talked about this a little bit in our tea journal. And so I think, honestly, I don't like lying. I've always hated lying. And I'd rather risk being rude. But, okay, this is actually
this is hard.
Okay, if it's in real life, I would rather abruptly end it. If it's on a call, I'm more comfortable with a white lie.
If it's on a call, it's easier to white lie. If it's not, I risk being rude, but, like, I'm so afraid of being rude. But I also see telling a lie as rude. I'm thinking back to specifically, like, the example I was giving in the tea journal about how I was, like, talking to someone I was, like, acquainted with. Like, I see this person a lot, but I wouldn't, like, say, like, I'm friends with them. I just kind of talk to them, but they were just, like, talking, and I was like, okay, so I do have to go. I think that's when I'm like, you kind of just stress that you have to go rather than saying a reason, just saying, I do have to go, I have stuff to do. I don't think it's, like, so I guess in that situation, I'm risking seeming rude.
I feel like I'd first really try to way to find, like, to switch the topic. Like, if I can,
What do you mean?
I don't want to seem rude, and I agree with you, but, like,
yeah,
instead of, like, abruptly ending the conversation, I would much rather be like, so what do you think of the weather today?
Oh, you would try to find, like, a topic that dies easily?
That, or just try to find another topic to keep the conversation going.
Yeah, but what if you have to, like, leave the conversation, though? That's the whole thing.
The whole thing is that the conversation is going nowhere.
Oh, right. Oh, I was talking about just, like, leaving the conversation.
I
think you can, like, have both of them. Okay, even if the conversation just keeps going versus going nowhere, how do you leave that?
So if someone wants to, like, excuse themselves with a white lie, they value social politeness and avoiding confrontation. They're willing to bend the truth to protect the other person's feelings and maintain social harmony, and I feel like that is so valid.
And I think about that a lot, but then personally, like, I just, like, don't like that feeling of, like, I'm not telling them the truth of why I'm leaving.
Both of us value integrity a lot.
I mean, like, especially after, like, just, like, personal experiences and everything, I'm just, like, I just don't like lying to people about certain things. Unless, and only if I really don't like this person. Then I have zero qualms because I just could care less and I just want to get out.
No, I wholeheartedly agree with that. Also, if that person is also like a bad person in general, I will find a way to leave.
Like, I'm like thinking right now of people that I'm like, anytime I'm in a call, I think you know who I'm talking about. I think she knows a multitude of people that I'm thinking of.
I think we're thinking of the same, like, 3-ish people.
Like, anytime I'm just in a conversation with this person, like, immediately I'm just, like,
irked.
Ugh, like, no, like,
I don't want to talk about that. I'm so good.
Not even about that. I just don't want to talk in general. And so I'm like, of course, it's always good to be polite. Like, be polite.
Yes.
But also, I'm just like, okay, so, like...
I gotta go.
Yeah, I get this tone in my voice. Like, I feel like people can pick up on it. But it's, like, a kind tone. So, like, it's not obvious. It's just, like, you can hear, like, the shift in, like, pitch, I guess.
But also, I feel like we also have to be aware of the fact that people are not idiots. They know when you want to talk to them. They know when you don't. They know when a conversation is not going anywhere. If I'm like, oh, I gotta go.
I beg to differ. Just specifically because I'm thinking of a person.
The only reason... Okay, there are a couple people that are like that, but I feel like in general, a general rule, a general good rule is to think they know what I'm doing.
Yeah. Which is why I hesitate to do the white lie or to even just excuse myself and risk being rude. Mm-hmm. Because I feel like either way they know what I'm doing, so I'm like, I feel like I'm hurting them regardless, and I'm like, I don't know what to do. So then I'm afraid to end the conversation, and it just either keeps going or it's just kind of like,
what do I do? What do I do? Yeah.
So, sorry.
Do you want to move on to the next person?
Oh, I was just going to add one more thought.
Oh, yeah, go ahead.
There are definitely the people who are oblivious. And I think if you know they're oblivious, like, if you've been around this person, especially if it's, like, a person, and usually it's a person, like, you don't like, I would say I would have zero qualms about lying to them.
I feel like
or risking being rude.
I feel like obliviousness is a hard thing to, like, decide if a person is, especially because you don't know if a person's just, like, acting oblivious.
But I'm saying if you know. Like, you know them as a person, like, you've just been around them enough to be, like, their personality being like, oh, yeah, they're just not gonna...
There's one person that I thought was oblivious that now I know is definitely not.
Really?
And because of the fact that I hate lying and I'm always assuming people are not oblivious and that they don't know, I have not lied to her. But it a little bit shocked me when I realized, like, oh, she knows what's going on.
What made you realize? This is a good thing to talk about. What helped you realize that?
She was actually talking about a conversation with another person.
Oh.
And she was like, oh, like, they said this. And I was like, I know what you're doing. Like, why are you saying this? But, like, to their face, I was like, oh, no, you're good. Like, I was, like, pretending so that they wouldn't feel bad about themselves. And I was like, oh, shoot. I am so glad I never did that. Like,
wait, she was saying she did that?
She was saying someone else did that.
To her.
Mm-hmm. And she, just out of her own niceness, was acting oblivious. And that scared me.
That scares me. See, and that's how I feel about this one person, because at the end of the day, you don't know. Mm-hmm. But if you think they are, you can't win either way. Mm-hmm. Because it sounds like she knew either way. But I think she understands that, like, okay, this person, whether or not they have ill intentions, they don't want to be in the conversation. So they're trying to be kind about it. And I think she can at least appreciate the fact that they weren't, like, blatantly like, okay, this is annoying me, I want to stop talking.
Yeah. So, for someone that wants to abruptly end the conversation, this indicates someone who prioritizes directness and is less concerned with other perceptions. Mm-hmm. They're efficient and may not see the value in extending a conversation that has to run its course. Whereas the person who wants to shift the topic might be like a conversational problem solver.
Man, I don't know if I'm a conversational problem. That's like, I feel like if you're trying to prolong the conversation if it's dying, because I've experienced that, but I think
salvaging
also
the conversation.
I think there's like a certain point where you just have to accept it and just be like, not worth it. But for our last scenario, in a casual conversation, would you rather risk oversharing something personal, oh boy, Or revealing nothing and seeming guarded.
I feel like we're opposites in this. If I'm guessing right.
You probably are. It depends. It depends on the situation, who I'm with, and what we're talking about.
Okay. So let's say I'm a random person in your class and I sit next to you and this is the first time we're talking. Or but we've been in the same class for a long time.
But what are we talking about?
We just started having small talk. This is small talk.
I know, but I overshare based on the topic because we're already in some sort of topic and I can feel it dying, right? Mm-hmm. If I feel it dying, if I feel comfortable enough and it's not a weird thing, I might overshare a little bit. But I think that's not necessarily a comfort thing rather than a nervous habit.
Okay.
So it's not something I necessarily want to do voluntarily.
I feel like, I don't know if this is going to sound weird, but I feel like a lot of people have told me, I feel like I know nothing about you.
A lot of people have told you that. I'm not going to lie.
Yeah.
Sorry, that sounded mean.
You're not wrong, but I feel like
That's not really... See, there's a really good social awkward moment. There you go, guys.
But we're also really close. And
yeah, but...
Mm-hmm. But...
I see what they mean, though, is my point.
Yeah. I feel like my anxiety is that I'm going to share too much. And so I end up not sharing at all.
I do have that anxiety, but I think my nervous habit of rambling overtakes that. Because I can ramble about anything because I'm uncomfortable with silence. So I think the fact that I'm uncomfortable with silence pushes me to ramble, and that rambling habit pushes me to overshare. Now, if it's something like a really personal topic and I don't really feel like this conversation's going well or it's not, I only really overshare, I think, if we're already feeling comfortable with each other and the topic's kind of going somewhere. I don't think I overshare to save a conversation.
Yeah. I can see that.
I think it's only to continue furthering it because I don't want it to end because I don't want that weird silence.
See, this is where I feel like I ask a lot more questions than I answer. I feel like that's also a pretty good rule. Asking more questions than you answer can help you navigate the balance between oversharing too. If you think you're someone who overshares a lot, just try asking more questions.
If I do overshare, I think I overshare with questions. I try to have them relate to be oh, do you ever do this? Or I kind of do this sometimes. Do you ever do that? Or is that just me? I usually attach a question to the overshare.
That's really smart.
Because I'm just because it's me trying to either further the conversation and continue the back and forth rather than just me rambling, because I don't want to be rambling. Right. Even if it's a nervous habit, that's uncomfortable for me though.
So what's your advice for someone who tends to put their guard up more?
In terms of if the conversation's dying,
or in terms of the fact that generally in a conversation it should be a general push and pull of share, ask questions, share. And someone like me who is more guarded, what advice would you give me to try and be more open?
I feel like I would just say just push yourself to answer a question or two, or just make even if you think it's not oversharing, make a small surface level connection, because once you get comfortable making those connections, it's easier to go a little bit deeper, and then you can kind of feel more comfortable in the conversation, and from there draw a line about how much you want to share.
Yeah.
Starting with the surface level stuff.
I feel like in the teacher we talked about this a little bit, but where we're talking about answer and try to add hooks in those answers.
Yeah.
And I feel like that action of trying to add those hooks is really important for people who, like me, who struggle with oversharing or sharing at all. And for people that struggle with oversharing and wanting to share a little less, trying to look for those hooks.
And I don't even think just trying to look for those hooks, trying to just take a breath and take advantage of those natural pauses. If you feel one coming on, let it happen. Don't just force yourself to fill it. Even though you think it's an awkward feeling, kind of just let it happen, because the person might actually have a response and you might just be talking that they can't get their word in. And this is something that I still know very much myself I need to work on. I'm very aware of that, and it's something that I try to do. And I try to do it. If you notice this, practice it with your close friends and stop and be wait, I'm sorry. And I practice this with her. I'm wait, I'm sorry. Oh, I'm rambling. And I'm like,
but
oh,
for
sorry.
sure, genuinely, it's gotten better over the years.
Oh, yay. That's good.
My
That's
God.
encouraging. I didn't know that because I feel like
freshman year, I felt like I knew so much about you, and I felt like you knew.
Oh no!
Did you feel like you knew me very well in freshman year?
I don't even really know because I don't think we were.
We talked every day.
We talked every day, but I don't think I would well, I'm trying to think because last year I would consider us close, and I think it's because we were excited to have each other in our math class
again,
and then Yut pushed us to work together,
right?
And we were like, well, we know each other. We're gonna obviously work together because we did it all the time last year. I feel like last year's when we got really close. Mm-hmm. I feel like freshman year we were just like friends.
I felt that we were close in freshman year. Not close, but like I felt like I knew a lot about you.
Well, I don't know if I would consider that close.
What do you mean?
Like my definition of a close friend isn't like if you know, like it is if you know a lot about them, but like I was close before I really knew a lot about you. It's more like your connection with them. That's really like I didn't feel like we connected on a deeper, closer level in freshman year than we did in sophomore year.
I think the reason I think I base my friendships not fully on what I know about someone, but I feel like I value what I know about someone a lot because I don't share a lot. And so when someone knows a lot about me, that means that we're close.
I agree with that to an extent. Like, I think that's part of my definition of a close friend, and I think
it's not the full definition.
Yeah, I think throughout freshman year you did, like, I think you got comfortable with me, that you started talking more.
Yeah.
And I think for me, the definition of a close friend is how much time you willingly spend around that person and like talk. And then how much, as a result of that, they start to share. Because I feel like you don't share things and then you start getting closer. I feel like you start being around each other more, which pushes you to share things. Like I'm thinking about my friendship with Natalie and how we started sharing more things because we were around each other more. Right. And we started getting more comfortable and we wanted to be around each other more. And I think that's kind of like,
I can see that.
That's, I think, where I kind of stand. Yeah. So I think we were like semi-close in like freshman year by my definition. Like I think I was, because it was like, for me, closeness is like how much you know about a person, but it's also how you get there.
I feel like fundamentally I agree with you.
Like I feel like there's a few discrepancies, but yeah. Like, I think we were close, but we weren't, like, close.
Agreed. Yes. Okay.
Yeah. So, I think to wrap it up, I don't know what there is to wrap it up, guys. You make your own decisions. Yeah. But
you wrap it up.
You wrap it up. But I feel like, I think my main thing is, for the white lie one, if you just don't want to be in that conversation, honestly, as long as you're actually not being rude, I just think either do a white lie or risk being rude. Either way, I think it'll be fine. Because as long as you're not being like, okay, I don't want to talk to you anymore, bye, then I think you're okay.
Agreed. Okay, that is the end of Not My Cup of Tea. Thank you so much for listening to this episode.
I hope you'll join us next week on
Sip and Spill.